Carey Mulligan, welcome to the Daily Social Distancing Show.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing as good as can be expected considering everything that's happening in the world. The question is, how are you doing? Because you're in the UK right now, and you have the new variant of Corona out there that's just shutting everything down. So how are you doing, and how is everybody around you?
Yeah, it's I think we all anticipated something getting worse for a little bit before it got better, but it's obviously we're in lockdown, so we're all homeschooling and feels like the beginning of March last year. So, but no, we're great. We're very lucky. We live in the country, so we've got space.
I feel like in the hierarchy of things, people have said, essential workers, it's the people helping to keep everybody alive. It's the people who are providing food and keeping grocery stores open. And it's the teachers who are still out there trying to educate kids through some of the toughest times we've ever experienced. After all of that, my top thing is anyone who comes out with a good movie during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm so excited when a new movie comes out that's actually amazing, and that is what you have given us with Promising Young Woman. I will say, though, I was shocked at how dark and yet funny it is. Am I allowed to even feel that?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was very much kind of written as a dark, very dark comedy. I mean, it's full of comedians. The whole cast is pretty much everyone apart from Connie Britton and I are kind of people who are very comfortable in comedy. So it was definitely, yeah. And then that's sort of part of what I think the shame is, and it's such a small thing by comparison to world events, but the loss of having that experience, for a lot of people in the cinema of being around other people, it's sort of in these very dark comedies, I think it's an audience around you that gives you permission to laugh in moments where you're not sure if you can laugh. And that's kind of part of the tension and release of a film like that.
As a comedian, I think most comedians will agree with me in saying that if you say comedy and sexual assault, everyone pauses. We go like, I don't know. I'll talk about escalators first, and I'll try and get to that. What made you think that you could be part of making a film that used comedy as a tool to discuss one of the issues that has, from the Me Too movement and even before that, been one of the most important conversations to have in society?
Well, it was really the strength of the writing and meeting Emerald Fennell, who was our director. The hardest things in life we often can only get through by using humor. Some moments of your life that are completely tragic are marked by moments of, kind of comedy and hysterical giggling, the kind of part of you that wants to laugh at a funeral because you just don't know how to cope with your
Right, yeah.
It feels very much like life. And I think the main thing with this story is that it's not a fantasy. It's based on experiences that so many of us know, people who've been through them, and trying to be honest about that, but also recognizing that that if you want to talk about this kind of stuff and you want people to think about this kind of stuff, there are ways of doing it that entice an audience. This is a film that I think you want to see as opposed to one that you feel like you should see.
You play a character whose friend is the victim of, a childhood friend really, is the victim of sexual assault. And it leads us into a story of revenge and justice, really. Do you think there's a sense of catharsis that was intended in writing the script? Is it meant in some ways to be the movie for people who say, like, you know what, I've experienced this, I've had a friend who's experienced this, and this helps me feel a different way about it or see my feelings from a different point of view?
I mean, definitely from talking to people, there's been a sense of catharsis. I think also just like, for me, smashing up a car, which you see, it's really fun, and it does definitely helps. But I think, if that's people's experience, I think that's great. But I think the conversation I think that Emerald was sort of hoping to create would be something that went further into the kind of cultural conversation, and that these situations that happen in our film have happened in so many comedies, bro comedies, films where a guy will try and lose his virginity in a nightclub,
Right.
At any expense, or try and identify the most drunk girl, or so these are things that we've watched and we've kind of laughed at and has been so normalized in our culture for so long. So it's not so much as sort of course it touches on that stuff, but it's not so much pointing blame or sort of assigning people villainous roles. It's more, how have we all been complicit in this? It does give people an opportunity to sort of experience this stuff through a different lens, because we're so used to seeing this kind of stuff told from the perspective of the the boy or the man, or and
Right.
looking it through the perspective of the very drunk girl in the corner, except in this situation she's actually stone cold sober.
We've been taught to believe that somebody who has classically unattractive features is going to be the bad guy, or it's someone who looks menacing, acts menacing. And in this movie, what was really fantastic is seeing nice guys, good guys being the bad guys, seeing the good guys doing the bad things. That was a really interesting choice, not just in the characters, but in the casting as well, because I mean, you're seeing Bo Burnham in this movie, and you're like, I love Bo Burnham. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, I don't know if I like Bo Burnham. That's
Yeah.
it's a really interesting way to tell a story, and it seems like it's a core tenet of what the story is about. Why do you think that was so important?
Yeah, well, it was all very intentional. I think, Emerald wanted people that we feel comfortable with and that we have a sort of sense of nostalgia about, because I think if you see somebody who looks sort of inherently villainous and you associate them with playing the baddie in a bunch of films, like, you immediately distrust him. And I think the point about this was that you would enter into one of these situations and feel comfortable momentarily with this person, and you'd feel safe. And it goes to the cast of Connie Britton as the Dean. This is someone that, Connie's like everyone's favorite person, and you would go to her if you were in a crisis. And so I think, subverting our expectations around that stuff was really important. And also the way that Emerald directed them was so brilliant, because she told each of the men, Adam Brody and Sam Richardson, and at the beginning of the scene, this is a romantic comedy and you're the lead. You've just met the love of your life.
Wow.
That's how you scene. So they were all entering into it with this sort of amazing, earnest, committed kind of, I'm the hero here and I'm going to save this girl. So it was the approach. I think it highlights what it feels like when this is not happening to someone that you don't like or you don't know. This is what it feels like. What if it's a very different situation if someone gets accused of something like this. So casting these very kind of photogenic, sweet, lovely people that are genuinely lovely in real life, I think puts a different twist on that.
I will say it is dark, it is thrilling, and it is funny in moments where you genuinely do not expect it to be. But most importantly, it's easily the best film of the year. I know the year just began, but it's still going to be one of the best films of the year. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and congratulations once again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.